Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review. Today we're going to be doing my comic load for the week, as well as news, updates, questions, answers, and everything that falls in between. Now this is my full comic load for the week with the exception of two comics, and that would be Buffy and Red Sonja. Sonja because I'm behind an issue, and Buffy because I just didn't get a chance to get to it. So this is going to be primarily DC this week. I also got a new figure that I'm going to talk about. We got the Icons Harley that came out, so I'm going to do a brief, quick ass review of this, and then go on questions and answers, and maybe just a little mingling, a little talking between us, and go from there. So might as well start where we always start, with a little bit of Batman in our life, with Detective Comics issue number 935. So the team has been brought together. Batman and Batwoman, bringing Cassandra Cain, Stephanie Brown, Tim Drake, and Clayface all into the fold, and making this new team, this Bat team, to protect themselves and to teach and learn from each other, with Batwoman primarily being the boot camp trainer. And a good chunk of this book is Batwoman training the team and kind of having those interactions going on and telling them what they're strong at and what they're weak at, what they can do better, and how they can work better as a team. They all do this in something called the Mud Room, which is basically a Danger Room-esque like situation where excess mud from Clayface is used to combat the heroes. How this works, I'm still not sure, but hey, it's comic books, so let's just go with it. With this, we also get some really good interactions between Tim and Stephanie, Batwoman and her father, and Tim and Bruce. I'm going to just leave it right there because I don't want to give too much away. So let's just go into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. We really start to feel these character interactions growing, these personalities mingling with each other, and I'm loving it. Let's talk about Tim Drake, because I feel as though he had the most character interaction with other people in this book. First and foremost is he talks to Batman, and it's kind of cool to see them interacting, because in the New 52, very brief relationship. Very brief. Tim, admittedly, was mostly on the Titans through the New 52, only really jumping in crossovers and the Eternal events, but for the most part, Bruce and Tim really haven't had much of a relationship in the past 5 years. And in this discussion with each other, Tim basically, is questioning why Batman's doing what he's doing, and Batman basically tells something to Tim that I think a lot of us like to hear, and it is, and spoiler, he says to Tim, I know you kept yourself at a distance and you always called yourself Red Robin, but to me, you've always been Robin. So I think this is DC's way of saying sorry to all the Tim Drake fans and saying, yeah, he was Robin, let's just move on. We also see Tim and Stephanie are in a relationship with each other. When that happened in the New 52, I don't know, but I think it just naturally happened in this book. And it's good to see those two back together. They had a relationship back in the day, in the 90s and 2000s. It's good to see these two kind of, they're a little older now, a little bit more mature, and a little something going on. And finally, we got an introduction a little bit more to the bad guy, which has a very admittedly, but in kind of a positive way, Arkham Knight-like feel to it. Very militant. Even the designs you can see on the front look like the Arkham Knight. Trust me, it's not Jason Todd in disguise. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't played Arkham Knight, but it kind of has a cool feel to it. Like this big militant organization is coming to Gotham, and Batman needs to team up with his cohorts to defeat them. Bad? None at all. This is a solid issue, and it's going to get a 5 out of 5. Really enjoying it, and again, a great jumping on point for new fans. Action Comics issue number 958. So Lex and Superman are fighting against Doomsday, and this is more of a traditional Doomsday. I don't know where Doomsday stands in the New 52. So, for example, we have the Doomsday and the Doomsday virus that we got from Superman Doom, but is that the same Doomsday that we're seeing here? Design-wise, they're different. And this feels more akin to the 90s Doomsday, or the Doomsday that we knew in the pre-New 52. But could it be that they're all just one thing, or they all derive from something? Who knows? There's bunch of questions that we have no answers to. But while this fight is going on, we have mysterious Clark Kent going around and trying to capture the story with Jimmy Olsen, and Lois and her son John watching on as their husband/father are fighting against Doomsday. A very poignant and touching moment happens, and almost very emotional, is when Lois is trying to assure John that, oh, don't worry, everything's going to be good, but in the back of her mind, she's like, oh shit, this is Doomsday. He killed Clark. What if he does it again today? A good, bad, whether or not you should get it. I felt as though the character interactions between Lex and Superman were a lot better. The fight scenes were pretty good here, and I am very curious to see where things go with the Doomsday story, and particularly with Clark. And is this New 52 Clark Kent, or is this someone else? Is this Eradicator hiding? Who knows? Doomsday also tends to be smarter in this. He's strategizing and he's fighting not like a mindless animal, but rather like he has a plan. Bad, I can't really say there's much bad to it. Again, I'm not falling in love with this story. But I still think it's pretty good. I think out of the two Superman stories, I think it's the better of the two, and I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Let's jump into Wonder Woman issue number 1. So, Wonder Woman has basically been lied to for the longest time. And what I mean by lied to is everything she knows could be fake, could be false, could be a lie. Everything, and she's looking so desperately to get to Themyscira, but she's having trouble, so she's going to look for someone to help her out. While this is going on, Stephen Trevor's in a war zone with Etta Candy in the background trying to help him out. That's the basic gist of the story. Again, not going to give too much away. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. Let's start things off. The art in this is beautiful. It's fantastic. I think it does a very good job at capturing the tone and feel of the comic, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I think the art is definitely the highest one on this. We instantly get a feel of Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman back to being what she was in the early 2000s, back to her being kind of this mix of being a warrior, being a princess, being a diplomat, being a Justice Leaguer, and being this symbol of power. And although we don't touch upon those specific aspects of her life, you can definitely feel the tone of it in this. It's great to see Stephen Trevor kind of back to basics. I don't know if he's still working with Argus. He looks a little bit more military, but he looked pretty great in this. And Etta Candy looks like she is going back to more of her original design, still keeping true to some of her New 52 flavor, but also looking a little bit more like she was back in the day when she was like sorority girl, or even in the George Perez version where she was kind of just, there. Bad. Not really anything. I think this is a much better issue for a jumping on point for fans. If you're going to get into Wonder Woman, get issue number 1, not the Rebirth issue. The Rebirth issue, while good, I don't think it was a good jumping on point for fans. I think this is a good jumping on point for fans. Now, a lot of people have been complaining because Wonder Woman issue number 2, in 2 weeks, is going to be about Wonder Woman year 1. It's a separate story with a separate artist, still Greg Rucka, but they're going to alternate back and forth between the two stories. Now, some people complain that's breaking the flow of things, but if you think about it, you're going to have to wait a month for this story anyways. So it's like you're getting 2 Wonder Woman titles in one. Yeah, they're both the same Wonder Woman title, but they're telling different stories. I personally am okay with this, although I think it would be a little bit easier, at least uniformly with the rest of the comics, if they just told one story for 5 issues, then did another story for 5 issues. But at the same time, if you think about it, normally you only get an issue in a month. So just think of it like another Wonder Woman title. Much better issue from last issue. I recommend picking it up. This is going to get 5 out of 5. Flash, issue number 1. So, on him. Big time. He's getting depressed, he's starting to make mistakes, it's kind of all getting to him. And while this is going on, there's like a little storm happening, and it looks like a Speed Force storm, and and then as a result of the storm, it hits someone, and they gain Speed Force power. How Barry is going to react to this is kind of up in the air. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. how can I say this right? I feel as though, again, like I said beforehand, this is doing a good job at kind of blending comic book Barry with TV Barry to make it inviting to some new characters, some new readers. And I think this is very new reader friendly. You kind of get into it, you get a sense of who Barry is without getting too much of him, and you get all of his supporting cast in there. I like that Iris and Wally 2 is in there. I'll just call him Wally 2 because we have Wally 1 and Wally 2. We're both in there, and nice twist at the end. The art isn't bad, but I'm not feeling it for Flash. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's because they're making Barry look too pretty. I don't know if pretty's the right word. Maybe too young, like really early 20s. I mean, if you go by New 52 standards and do the math and everything, Barry's like 29. He's my age. Holy shit, he's my age. Do I look young? I don't know. Do I look like I'm going to be 30? But the fact of the matter remains is the art, while good, I haven't quite grown accustomed to it yet. And I think that's definitely something that you can feel the tone in the book. In saying that, I'm going to stand by my statement with the Rebirth issue. This is still a good issue to jump in, still enjoyable, and I like the fact that it is still comic Barry, but we have a little bit of the TV flair in it. Just a little bit, not too much. Not everything needs to reflect out of the media. You know, if a new game comes out, it doesn't have to reflect what happens in the game. It doesn't have to reflect what happens in the movie. It doesn't have to reflect what happens in the show. And we're going to find with a lot of comics, both DC and Marvel, that's going to happen. It's happened at Marvel and it's happened at DC. Flash is going to have a little bit more of a tone to the TV show. Arrow is going to have a little bit more tone to the TV show. Those are two things that we discuss when talking about the Rebirth comics. In addition to that, Supergirl looks like it's going to be heavily inspired off the TV show. Is this a bad thing? No, but it has to be handled correctly. And most importantly, you got to keep the differences between TV and comic book there. Because the TV show is a parody and inspiration of the comic book. The comic book can take elements that were from the TV show, but it shouldn't become a parody of the TV show. The source material should stay the same. So, yeah. Aquaman issue number 1. So this is the last of the Rebirth issues that came out this week. So it's going to continue what happened with New 52 Aquaman, in that he's trying to build this bridge of Atlantis to the surface world, this diplomatic treaty of commingling of cultures. You know, hey, I'll eat your hamburger, you eat my seaweed, and all that fun jazz. And it does a very good job at laying out the world of Aquaman and kind of the mythos of Aquaman. And while this is going on, Big Bad Black Manta, who still has some sand in his vagina, decides that he wants to go kill Aquaman because, you know, Aquaman's a dick. Or so Black Manta thinks. For those of you that don't know or are new to Aquaman, early in Aquaman's career, he killed Black Manta's father, who in turn killed Arthur Curry's father, or Aquaman's father. So Aquaman's father was killed by Black Manta's father, and Aquaman, seeking revenge, mistakenly killed Black Manta's father. And now Black Manta's like, boo-hoo, boy band sad, I'm gonna go kill Aquaman. And he's murdering everyone in this pathway. So, with that said, let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. I think Black Manta definitely has a nice tone to him in this. There's some great fighting in this, and some great visuals. There's a visual where this water, this wall of water is brought up that Mira's trying to hold. This, you know, someone's walking through this water. It's just very eerie. It's kind of violent, but violent in a good way. If you can ever say violence is good, but it's handled very well, and it, like I said, does an excellent job at laying the groundwork to Aquaman's universe, kind of getting you a feel of, oh, this is where Atlantis is, this is how we stand with Atlantis, this is how Earth is, this is how Atlantis stands with Earth. You know, the relationship between the two, how Aquaman is played in between, because Aquaman is first and foremost a king, but he says to everyone, like, you call me Aquaman, you look at me as a Justice Leaguer, but I want you to know that I'm everything. I'm a man, I'm a king, I'm a Justice Leaguer, I'm a hero, I'm everything you need me to be, but most importantly, I'm here to extend my hand of friendship. Bad, the ending's kind of predictable with the twist at the end, and in addition to that, I don't feel as though there was a lot of Aquaman in here. For it being a new issue for comic book readers, I don't feel as though it's as friendly as the Rebirth issue was. In saying that, I still enjoyed it 3 out of 5. Let's jump boat to Boom Studios with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 4. So basically, Tommy is sidelined by the team because, he can't get his head straight. Literally, he can't get his head straight. He's seeing visions and causing trouble and all that jazz. And the Power Rangers have to go up against the Dragonzord with Scorpina in there, using a makeshift Dragonzord dagger to control it. And while this is going on, there's some stuff going on in the background that the Power Rangers have to worry about. A new villain, a new monster that's going to be rising out from the deep. Can Tommy get his head straight? Will the Power Rangers be able to work with each other? Well, we'll have to just wait and see. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Good. Beautiful art and awesome visuals. I particularly like when they do their morph and they call upon the Zords, and you see the Zords, and obviously you don't see them visually move, but you see how they kind of contort and everything. It looks really good. I also like the cliffhanger at the end, and I kind of like the tension between them. Like, I grew up with the original Power Rangers. That's something that is near and dear to my heart. I've met almost all of them. Of the originals, I think the only one I haven't met is David Yost and Jason David Frank. But the fact of the matter is this is a different tone. It's a little bit more edgier. The team isn't quite all huggy and happy and hunky-dory and all that stuff. Jason and Tommy do not get along. Zach is paranoid of people. Interesting how the team works. I just hope they don't go overboard with it, because that's not what Power Rangers is. You can take something and change it, but don't change it too much where it becomes unrecognizable. In addition to that, I thought overall the fight scenes were fun, but let's get on to the bad. The Rangers are kind of idiots. They bring Scorpina into the command center, and it just felt so out of character. First of all, evildoers are not supposed to be in the command center unless they have a power coin. That is a rule. But Scorpina was brought there by the Power Rangers, willingly. Why? I thought things were resolved a little too quickly, particularly what's going on in Tommy's head. So those are two things I didn't like. But in saying that, this is still a solid issue. 4 out of 5. Pick her up. Suicide Squad, Most Wanted, 6 of 6, Deathstroke, Deadshot, and Katana. I really wanted to say Deathstroke. So this is one of those miniseries that are going out, Legend of Tomorrow's, Poison Ivy, Swamp Thing, so on and so forth. And I haven't really reviewed too much of the series as a whole, so I'm not going to go too heavily into this one. This individual issue itself, it does a good job at taking lore from previous DC stuff with these characters, like Batman the Outsiders for Katana and Suicide Squad for Deadshot. And I feel as though the Deadshot story is very strong in this, but the Katana one was still kind of weak, at least for ending. On a whole, though, the series is definitely something you should pick up and trade individually for both of them. Individual issues are kind of okay. They start off very slow, but the overall comic is it's pretty good. I enjoyed the Deadshot story a lot, and I thought a good tone was used for Katana here. And then, obviously, they're going to make her look similar to the movie Katana, which happens. This individual issue, I am going to give a 2 out of 5. I wasn't overwhelmingly pressed. I thought the Deathstroke Deadshot story was really the highlight, and other than that, it just kind of bored me a little. Let me talk about something else that kind of just didn't catch my interest. Robin, son of the Batman. So this is kind of concluding everything that's going on with Robin and his life, and I just didn't care at all. I literally read this book, and I felt like I was just, nothing against Fox or anyone else that was part of this book, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't feel like an ending that I wanted for the comic, and it just was boring. You can totally skip Robin, Son of the Batman, issue number 13. It's not needed. It's going to get a 1 out of 5. Harley Quinn, issue number 29, which I thought this was going to be the Rebirth cover, or the Afterbirth cover, but either case, Harley Quinn is down on money. She needs money because they're in the red, I think $8,000. And she goes out to steal cars to make money, and while this is going on, a giant mechanized robot is basically come into possession of an evildoer and come into her possession, and they have a big mecha fight. Yeah, that's it. good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Dialogue was fun here. I particularly like the Ivy and Harley Quinn moment. The art was beautiful, and on a whole, I thought it was a good, well-paced story. Bad, I thought the robot thing was a little over the top for Harley Quinn. I know Harley Quinn could be over the top with some stuff, but I thought the robot was a little too much. But yeah, it's Harley. Harley's going to be good no matter what. It's Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner, so no matter what you do with it, it's still going to be fun. Teen Titans 21. So, the Titans are going up against Brain, and he is using various different mind-controlling devices on animals, and the Titans have to fight animals. And then it ends with kind of a twist, not a twist, a cliffhanger of Red Robin and what happens to him. I thought this was honestly going to be the end of the Titans comic, but I guess we have at least one more left. It's a fun issue. I particularly like having Brain and what's his name, Milan, the gorilla in there. Great throwbacks to Bronze and Silver Age stuff. They're kooky villains, but they're not too kooky. They're still dangerous, and I like the teamwork that's being done in this. Bad, I just don't care anymore. Like, I know there's going to be a new Titans team, quite possibly a better Titans team. This series is going on too long, so yeah. 2.5 out of 5. You know what isn't a 2.5 out of 5? Deathstroke, the Terminator, issue number 19. So basically, Deathstroke has to take on Snakebite and Lawman to save his kids because his daughter's dying, and the only way he can save his daughter is by making him pact with the devil, which is Ra's al Ghul. And whether or not he decides to do this, or if he just decides to gun on his own, you have to read and see. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Art is great in this. Really good action scenes. Some satisfying endings for his confrontation with these two characters. And Lawman in particular, I really didn't care about when he showed up, but he's kind of grown on me as a good villain for, I don't know, villain, but adversary for him to fight. So, yeah. And of course, having Ra's al Ghul in there is fun too. I think he brings an interesting dynamic. Bad. The only bad I can think is not even a bad. Where's Slade's goatee? It's not in this. It's gone. Makes him look not like Slade. On a whole, good character dynamic and overall story is fun. 4 out of 5. I do feel as though the comic's kind of just coasting right now until the rebirth starts, but it's still pretty fun. 4 out of 5. 2 comics left. Cyborg, issue number 12. Yeah, you know what? The sad thing about this issue is it wasn't that memorable. People break into Star Labs, accidentally kill someone, Cyborg goes to stop them, then tries to help them, and then we go from there. For one of my favorite DC characters, this issue was a little bit boring, and this is kind of shocking because this is done by Marv Wolfman, who is one of the great architects of comic books. Him and George Perez's run on New Teen Titans was legendary. I talk about it every single fucking review. And what did they create together? Well, Cyborg. Great character stuff, great dialogue, but it's just the story itself is kind of boring. As a one-off story also. I will give it a 3 out of 5 because I was still enjoying it, despite the fact it was a little boring, so, yeah. And lastly, Justice League 52. The end of Justice League. Honestly, this should have been 51, and 51 should have been 52 on how the stories are structured, because this picks up with Lex Luthor coming back to Earth and saying he wants to become Superman, because rub it in the face of my enemy kind of thing. And the Justice League kind of confront him and say, yo, dog, why are you doing this? Dog, like, you're not Superman. And he does everything he can to prove to people that he's Superman. Even goes so far as buying the Daily Planet to get Superman's cape. Yeah, that's pretty badass. But yeah, that's the basic gist. It's really good bridge between Justice League 49 or Justice League 50 to Action Comics and where we stand right now with 950 something. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Some great Lex Luthor moments in this. I particularly like how he's trying to justify what he's doing, and he truly believes that he's doing the right thing for Superman in this. The art was pretty good, and overall the pacing was pretty nice. Bad, this isn't really a Justice League story, it's a Lex Luthor story, so it's false advertising. The Justice League show up for like literally 2 pages, and that's it. It would have been nice if they were in there a bit more. And this story really doesn't need to happen. Like, it's fun background for Action Comics, but it's not necessary. Which comes to my rating. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. It's a fun story, and I think Lex Luthor fans are going to enjoy it, but I think that's the only people that are really going to give a shit. Because the story is not necessary. It's kind of the same, let's be honest, like Justice League after Darkseid War is just kind of coasting its way until it gets to Rebirth. With that said, my Andrew Cutter pick of the week goes to Wonder Woman. Detective Comics came in a close second. I'm thoroughly enjoying that book, and it's doing everything right. But Wonder Woman just hit a primal chord in me. Maybe it's a great art. Maybe it's finally having Greg Rucka back. I don't know what it is. Wonder Woman New 52 was fantastic with Brian Azzarello. Quite possibly the best Wonder Woman run there is, and that's saying a lot with George Perez, Gail Simone, and Greg Rucka writing her at one point or another. But Meredith Finch did a decent job, but it kind of left me cold with the character or with the story. So it's kind of good to see Greg Rucka back at the helm. It's almost like you and your it's like you have a team. Like you and your boy, you're playing video games with each other, and you guys are like the best at playing, I don't know, Halo. And then like for a couple years, your boy goes off and does his own thing, and like you're playing with these other people. Some of them are really good, some of them are meh, but then your boy comes back, and you guys are back to playing, and you're overkilling left and right. That's what it feels like. It feels like, your boy's back. It feels like, I don't know, it's just good to have Greg Rucka back. On a whole, pretty decent week with comics. Not as strong as last week, but whatever. Might as well talk about the figure. We have the Icons Harley Quinn here. Now, I hope you all know what the Icon line is, but if you don't, it's really released by DC Collectibles, and it's their kind of answer to the Mattel's DC Multiverse line, which I have all of Wave 2 of the Multiverse line. I'm moving out of the way like you can actually see these things in focus. And I have most of the Wave 1 Multiverse line. The only thing I'm missing is Lex Luthor and the Bat Creature. But for the Justice Buster, which you can probably see right there behind Batman, I got all the figures on that, and some of them are good, some of them meh, but you know what is consistently good is the Icon line. And I don't have too much of the Icon line. I have Green Lantern, I have Flash, I have Batman. I had to get a Harley Quinn. They're going to make a Deathstroke one. I'm going to get Superman, Aquaman. I'm going to get some of the major things that I want to get, the big name characters that I always tend to get. But in saying that, it really is DC Collectibles' version of the Mattel Multiverse line. It has excellent articulation. The figures seem to be within the same scale. They're a bit more action figures than they are like statues. Not saying that these are statues, but like the posability. Some of my favorite figures. You look at the Dimly New 52 Batman or the Hush Batman. Like they're beautiful figures. 2 of my favorite, but they're not as posable as some of the other figures. And that's what this is. It's a little bit more of a toy. All of them are concept designs by Ivan Reis, so if you're an Ivan Reis fan, do you know who Ivan Reis is? You should get your shit together. He did the art on Justice League for quite a bit of time after Jim Lee left. He did the art on Cyborg when the comic first came out. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So let's open up the box and see how it looks. So we got her open up, and she looks pretty great. She looks very similar in scale and design to the DC Universe Classic, and I know my camera's not the best. This is blurry as all. Wow, that's bad. Need to get that new camera sometime soon, and I'll talk about that at some other point. But really great figure. It has a lot of different hands to utilize, some accessories, and balances really well in comparison to the Universe Classic figure, which was had 2 problems to it. The Universe Classic figure had the terrible balance, and in addition to that, the Universe Classic figure couldn't hold its weapons for shit. So I think this is vast improvement, and I recommend if you really want a good classic Harley Quinn figure. Look at those double joints, beautiful. If you do want a classic, look at that. Look at that. If you want a classic Harley Quinn costume figure, this is probably pound for pound one of the better ones. The paint apps are pretty great. The balance is pretty great. The articulation is pretty great. The mold is pretty great. Definitely better than the Universe Classic version, which I think is the best one to compare it to. But in saying that, I recommend getting her quick, because Harley Quinn is a hot commodity and she goes really quick, and her figures tend to go to a lot of money if you miss out on them. Like I said, the Universe Classic one at one point was like $100-something. It's redonkulous. But yeah, great figure. Really enjoy it. Updates. Anything new? Nothing really new going on in my world right now, at least in the past week. I think I mentioned this to you guys beforehand, but I'm going to try to go back to teaching karate and getting clientele back up, and kind of starting to get my hands wet with that again, because I've taught karate for years. I taught it in the studio, I taught it privately, and I kind of, sorry, I keep on hitting the camera, and I kind of stopped because of work, but I'm starting to get up a schedule which I think will work out well for me to teach, and also still, do my job and not have to worry about conflicting interests. And there's just something about teaching karate that is, taking it and doing it is one thing, but passing on knowledge is a fantastic feeling. So I'm taking clientele. If people are interested, let me know. I really want to get back into the swing of things, and I really want to get that sense of fulfillment I get for teaching people something that I know so well to do and I enjoy doing. Game of Thrones is on tonight. Season finale is going to be great. I think, honestly, Cersei is going to burn everyone down with the wildfire, or the green fire, what it's called. Probably kill her son in the process, and set Jaime down the road of going to be a vengeful asshole. But this is going to be a pivotal episode. Also, most importantly, is I really don't know what's going to go on going into this. We know that there's going to be a little bit of Sansa talking to Littlefinger, and we know that there's going to be something going on with the High Sparrow and Cersei, but exactly what goes on, what resolves, I don't think Cersei's coming out of this alive. I think she's actually going to bite the bucket. Bite the bucket, yeah. Kick the bucket. There we go. What's the term that uses biting? Bite the big one? I don't know. But in either case, I am pumped. It should be good. Game of Thrones is getting closer and closer to the conclusion. I have my theories on what's going to go on, but I'm not going to go into it too much. Yeah. What else? William Dafoe is going to be part of the Justice League cast as one of the advisors to Aquaman, so that's kind of cool. And Justice League is also being reported to have a much more kid-friendly or more good for all ages kind of tone. I do want to watch Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, and because I think that, I don't know how that might change my opinion on Batman v Superman. And I know I haven't done a review of it yet. I did a review with my wife, but we just never could upload it onto the internet. So I'm going to do a review once the Ultimate Edition comes out, and talk about the theatrical and talk about the Ultimate Edition, because I have some strong opinions, both good and both bad, with that movie. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Just going to leave it at that. And what else? I felt like there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I can't think of it right now. For those of you that want to know or even care, the game that I'm playing right now mostly is Bravely Second, End Layer, which is the sequel to Bravely Default, where fairies fly. Great game, a lot like the original one. Even the locations and the classes, more of the same, but the same is good, so I'm cool with it. After I'm done with that, I'm going to jump into Mighty Number 9, because I got that, and I want to eat that shit now. So yeah. And that's about it. Yeah. I kind of want to get Bravely Default done, too. Not Bravely Default, Bravely Second done, because I want to get back into playing Pokemon. At least X and Y and Omega Red and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire before the new versions come out, Sun and Moon, which I'm pumped for. But I have that Pokemon bug. I've always had the Pokemon bug, but it gets stronger during certain times. It's probably because I went a couple months without playing Pokemon. But hey, that's neither here nor there. So with that said, let's just get into the questions and answers. So for those of you that don't know, every week you can post a question down in the comment box or comment, and I will respond to them. There's no such thing as a stupid question. You can ask me anything. So let's get it started in here. Do a little Black Eyed Peas. First and foremost, Green Arrow Hunter. I may or may not give the name for whoever throws out. Andrew, good to have you back. Just one question. Are you going to bring back Battle Royale? I completely forgot about that segment that I used to do. But yeah, if people want to see it, I will bring it back. And for those of you that don't know, the Battle Royale was an incredibly big ripoff of Death Battle, but it was mostly me analyzing two fictional characters and determine who I would win. How about this? If you want me to bring back Battle Royale, tell me if you want me to bring it back and throw some suggestions out on who do you think should be in the Battle Royale. Moving on, Carecraft7 says that he agrees about Rebirth being one of the strongest in the series for Green Arrow, and I agree with that too. Miles Garrett, how do you feel about Ben Affleck writing, directing, and starring in the next Batman film? I feel okay with it. And the reason why is I think Ben Affleck is very much a kind of a renaissance man when it comes down to film. We know that he can act in film, and he did a good job with Batman. I think that is undoubtedly the highlight of the film for Batman v Superman is Ben's portrayal of Bruce. He does a very good job at invoking that feel of Batman. But at the same time, I think, I mean, if you look at it, he has an Oscar for directing on films. I think he can handle a film pretty well. Writing, I don't know how good he is at that, but we'll have to see. Well, that's not true. He did Good Will Hunting. That's one of my favorite movies. But did he write it or did he screenplay? I forget. But anyways, I feel confident. I feel as though he's good enough and enough of a Renaissance man when it comes down to that. For those of you that don't get that term, Renaissance man is kind of a little bit of everything, good at a little bit of everything, tries a little bit of everything kind of thing. Jack of all trades almost. I feel as though he can definitely do it. The only concern I would have is him spreading himself too thin. Lane Warwick, speaking of Rebirth, what books are you enjoying the most out of Rebirth? There's a lot, but I had to say Detective Comics and Green Arrow are the two that I'm enjoying the most, along with Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman's up there too. I'm always enjoying Wonder Woman, but I think we haven't had too much of the Rebirth, but from what we've had, we're going with that. Waja Hassan, love your videos, thank you. Nick Lenz, back with all the questions. I love it. Hey, Andrew, first, did you ever try out the recent Black Knight series by Frank Tierney? Is that the Marvel series? If so, no, I haven't rented. Again, I'm not dipping into Marvel too much until Marvel kind of goes back to being appealing to me. Second, have you read the current Black Panther series? It's really good, and I've heard it's Marvel's highest selling comic. Same thing. I wouldn't mind getting into it, but money and interest is just not enough. I was never a big Black Panther boy. I mean, I like him, I respect him, but he never kind of he's never really been the flavor that I wanted. I don't know, never gravitated to the character. 3, do you have any more trades recently? Just really the Earth 1 stuff. I haven't gone into too many more trades because I've been collecting most of what I read in graphic novel, but that may change. And 4, are you looking forward to the Luke Cage Netflix series when it comes out? I'm probably not going to watch it. Although I should get into Daredevil. Everyone talks good stuff about it. But right now I'm binge watching a lot of Star Trek. So when I get through Star Trek, I've watched all of Next Generation. Just from being a kid and growing up with this stuff, I watched mostly Next Generation. I watched a lot of Voyager. That was something I did with my father. Whether this series was good or not, I still did it. And I watched a bit of DS9. What I decided to do is I decided to rewatch all of Next Gen, which I did, and I'm going to rewatch all of DS9. I'm going to rewatch all the original series, or watch the original series, because I haven't dipped my cock into that too much. And then I may or may not watch Voyager or Enterprise, because I watch a lot of Voyager, and from what I remember, it wasn't always as enjoyable. I can put my time towards something else. It wasn't always bad, but I mean, yeah. And then Enterprise I just have no interest in. But that's a different story for a different time. But I really should jump on to some other series. And, you know, like I said, I heard Daredevil was pretty good, so maybe I'll give a chance to that. But Luke Cage, I currently have no interest in. Steve Gideon. I tried Marvel after Marvel Now for a while and was cool for a while, but yeah, I feel you. The characters aren't the ones I want to read. DC all the way. Yeah, pretty much. Hector Hall 82. Andrew, you're so hot. Thank you, appreciate it. John Doe 297. Andrew, big fan of yours for years, and Andrew, love. I love not God of War, Game of Thrones as well, best TV show. And lastly, John Doe 297. Hey Andrew, you're my favorite YouTuber. Keep up the videos. Is your favorite Batman story still Nightfall? Excellent question. I think structurally it is. I don't know if it still is my favorite. I think it's tied. Because I really liked Court of Owls a lot. I would have to say, and I'm starting to appreciate and like Hush more throughout the years. I don't know. I don't know if I can have just one. It's Batman. I love him no matter what. But yeah, Nightfall is still up there. If not number one, it's close. So yeah. So those are the question and answers for the week. If you have any, please post it down below. This coming week, I'm going to, at some point, try to do a video, a top 10 video for Wii U games. Because we're getting to the end of a life cycle of a game series or game console. And that's usually the best time to buy the game console, when a new one comes out. Games are cheaper, you can pick up stuff that you avoided beforehand for less, and it might actually make you consider getting the game system, which will also be cheaper, so I'm going to go into that. And yeah, we'll be back next week with my comic load. With that said, this is Andrew saying, peace out for now.